We hope and pray for that time of healing for everybody. That is our ultimate prayer these days for ourselves, for our country, for each and every human being in all over the world. I know that is what's in everybody's hearts. I want to share with you a message. It's connected to Chanukah, and it's kind of a special a special thing that has kind of risen up inside of me. Every once in a while, social media offers me something actually helpful. And this year, I saw an image that I've been thinking about over and over and over again, and I never was familiar with this image. And it's a Chanukiah. A Chanukiah is the Chanukah menorah, and it's sitting on a windowsill. And right behind it, through this window's view, is a Nazi flag. And I was suspicious about the integrity of the image, but it's actually part of the museum at Yad Vashem, Israel's National Holocaust Museum and Education Center. And the image, for me, was really powerful, significant. And I've been thinking about it for many, many months, and there it is up on your screen. You see, this Chanukiah belonged to Rabbi Akiva and Rachel Posner of the Jewish community of Kiel, Kiel, in Germany. The Posners and their family moved to the land of Israel, Eretz Yisrael, in 1933, but not before they took this very famous picture. And on the back, there's even more. Here is what Rachel Posner wrote in English. Well, on your screen, you'll see the English. In the photo, you will see her original handwriting in the German. Death to Judah, in quotes. So the flag says, Judah will live forever. So the light answers. I find it so amazing. Again, here's the picture with their Chanukiah ready to be lit with that background. I was so moved by this. I've been thinking about it ever since. And every Chanukah, I understand, every Chanukah, Yad Vashem, returns this Chanukiah to the descendants of the Posners in Israel, helping them share its light. So let's think back for a second, whether you were part of the teaching last night or some other Zoom call recently, or maybe you know the story of Chanukah. We know that these Greek Syrian folks, the Seleucids, are in a war, in a fight in the land of Israel against these Jews, the Hasmoneans. And it's happening right around 167 BCE, before the Common Era. And in Jewish tradition, we celebrate Chanukah because with one hand, there is this incredible military victory, a small group, a small band against many, many in an army, a huge army. And then we also know the teachings from the rabbis that's in the Mishnah and in the Gemara, where there's a miracle of one cruse of oil lasting for 8 days. It's kind of amazing story. And people wonder, what's really the miracle? Where is the miracle in all of this? Was it the military victory, or was it the oil? Oil showing God's power, the military victory showing the strength and might of these ancient Jews who were being oppressed. And everyone interprets it differently. The Hasmoneans, even from the book of Maccabees, which is in the Apocrypha, not in our Hebrew Bible, one example is that we see that this was a chance to have a do-over, a redo, because they missed the festival of Sukkot. And so they had another festival and they brought out this light. Could be. In Israel, Chanukah is often thought of as political independence, shaping our own destiny. For America's Jews, it's often about religious freedom. So whether you look at it as God's power, the Maccabees' power, the idea of bringing miracles, and certainly the idea of sharing light, they all have a way of coming together for us, as it did for the Posners in Kiel, Germany. I want to read you a quote from a teaching from Rabbi David Hartman. David Hartman is this incredible philosopher. He died maybe 10 years ago, 12, 15 years ago. And he made Aliyah from New York and he lived in Jerusalem. And this is what David Hartman taught. The miracle of the first day was expressed in the community's willingness to light a small cruse of oil without reasonable assurance that their efforts would be sufficient to complete the rededication of the temple. Chanukah celebrates the miracle expressed by those who lit the lamp, and not only the miracle of the lamps continued burning for 8 days. The miracle of Jewish spiritual survival throughout its history of wandering and oppression may be best described by our people's strength to live without guarantees of success, to focus on how to begin a process without knowledge of how it's going to end. What an incredible idea. The miracle was their willingness to light some light, not sure how it was going to last. But they took the first step. They lit the light. They took an action, and then it lasted for 8 days. The miracle for Hartman might not have just been that it lasted. It's that they were even willing to light it in the first place. Isn't that what we really need right now? A willingness to bring out light, to take a leap. It's sort of like the story we tell so often around Passover time. Nachshon ben Aminadav, our favorite story. The sea isn't going to split until something dramatic happens. And Nachshon jumps into this Red Sea, and that's when the sea splits, making the Passover story a story that really endures, that people are able to go through because he took that leap of faith. He took that first step, yelling out, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, who is like you? I think that's what we need, people willing to take a step, willing to light a light. It's darker outside. It's darker for longer. It's darker earlier. For those of us that were taking care of ourselves by going outside, well, by 4:30, it's back indoors and it's so cold. That's hard on us right now during this pandemic. And this is the worst time. The pandemic is worse now for us in Colorado and around the country than it's been when we first experienced a real lockdown in the very beginning of March and April. Colorado had 4,500 new cases yesterday, just yesterday, bringing a total to 279,000 in the state of Colorado. There were 116 new deaths yesterday, bringing the total to 3,787. People have died from COVID-19. We surpassed 293,000 losses in our country, just our own country, this year. Feels like this darkness is really pervading. It's pervasive. It's so difficult and it's tiring. But I'm going to tell you with a full heart, as careful as I feel like we need to be right now, I have incredible hope for our future. One of my favorite expressions that I really keep front and center of my life every day is Gam ze ya'avor. This too is going to pass. We're going to move through this time. I know that we have the ability to make life matter and that our faith, our values, our Chanukah, our rededication, because that's what Chanukah means, dedication, our rededication to life and safety and Jewish values can bring forth light to others, hope to others, comfort and love to others, whether they are feeling the darkness of COVID-19 or a recent loss or the feelings of anxiety because I haven't touched another person in so many months. That Chanukah in the window opposite a Nazi flag, sitting for thousands to see in Yad Vashem, it continues to be lit in the state of Israel by a family from Haifa, because of the vision and strength and the miracle making of grandparents from Kiel, Germany. So how are we going to not just believe in a Gamze Yavor, this too will pass? How do we make it happen? How do we help create the miracles? How do we come, like Rabbi Hartman taught, and light one cruse of oil without knowing what's going to happen afterwards? So friends, it's my prayer, my real, true, genuine prayer, that these Chanukah lights are going to bring strength and hope and courage and resilience to you and to me. May the light of the Maccabees and their fight for religious freedom and for self-determination, may the light of the lamp lighters who made miracles happen with God's help by lighting up the oil, even though it was enough for just one day. May the light of the Posner family, refusing to let the Jewish people's light be extinguished, may all of these lights be a source of unyielding strength, hope, gamzia ya'avor moments, and light to you during these days, especially when you feel the dark coming in. We have power here. We can make a difference. Aleinu.